today I'm teaching nose touches from my mom, who has a puppy who's adorable. Both my mom and the puppy. So I teach this to puppies because it's very easy. It helps them learn how to learn. It helps them learn that yes means there's a reward coming and that good things come from you. What a nose touch looks like is this. Salty. Yes. Very simple. You just put your hand out, they touch it with their nose. You can make it more difficult as they get older. You move it around, you move it up. Some dogs get very excited about it, some aren't that excited, but it's a good thing to teach for the previous reasons, but also because if you take your dog somewhere and you're not sure if they are focused on you and maybe you want to practice some other obedience, you should always start off with a nose touch. It gets them focused, gets them thinking about rewards, and it shows you if they're even in the right frame of mind to work on some training. Some dogs, you need to go to more locations first before you can start doing more difficult things, because dogs don't generalize. So even though they know how to sit in their kitchen at home, they don't know how to sit at the park, not only because it's a different location, but also because the distractions are higher. So if you do a nose touch first and they are able to successfully do it, you can try to move on to more difficult things. If you do a nose touch and they can't even do that, you probably need to go to a less distracting environment first. First step in teaching the nose touch is you just get some nice smelly treats, rub them all over your hands. If your dog likes their breakfast and dinner quite a bit, you can just use kibble, but you want to get it all over your hands. Then put most of the treats away just so you don't drop them and the dog is focused on picking them up more than what you're doing. Then you put the treats in one hand and you get your other hand ready for the nose touch. You don't say anything. You just put your hand down at your dog's level and they should touch it with their nose because they are not only smelling the treats all over it, but also they're used to being fed from your hand. If they don't do it, what you can do is just give them one first so they're thinking in their mind, okay, we're going to be getting treats out of this hand. So when you put your hand down, the dog is expecting a treat, and most dogs will naturally touch your hand. If they don't do it after a couple times and after it's nice and smelly, you can put a treat between the fingers if you have to. This makes it more difficult to train because then you have to fade that, but if you absolutely have to do that, just put a treat between your fingers. Don't have your hand closed or anything, and just offer it to them. They eat it. As you give it to them, you want to say yes or good or your clicker, whatever your reward marker is. So you put your hand down, they sniff it, take the treat in your offhand and give it to them in the hand they just sniffed. Because again, reward placement, that lets them know they were being rewarded for touching your hand. Your yes or your click should do that as well, but reward placement in the hand they just touched is good too. So put your hand down, they sniff it, you say yes, they don't actually sniff it, they touch it. Put the treat in the hand they just touched and give it to them. Yes. So as soon as that nose touches your hand, even if they're sniffing, whatever they're doing, you say yes, move the treat over to that hand and give it to them. Yes. Salty. Go away. Make sure you can see it. And then I always swap hands too. Yes. But again, I moved the treat over to this hand. Especially if you've been working on waving or shaking, some dogs might try to paw at your hand as soon as you put it down. If that's the case, you don't reward. I would probably go to having the treat in the hand just to get a nose touch out of them, which you can then say yes and give them the treat. So treats in the hand. See, she's actually offering the paw. So I'm going to show her the treat there. Yes. And I just let her eat it right out of that hand. Bitty. Good girl. She is good at this. Yes. Oh, we're out of treats, so I'm going to chain a couple together, and then we're going to go do a jackpot reward off camera, which you don't do this when they're first learning, but as they're getting better, dogs can do more than one thing without an immediate reward. Bitty. Her command is nose, and since she knows the command, I'm actually going to say it. I don't use touch just because I was doing agility with my other dogs. Quiet. And saying touch for the contact of touch for the nose, while they can most likely differentiate, better just keep it simple. Nose, nose, nose. Good. Nose, nose. Yes. Let's go get cookies. Yay! Good girl. Very good. Yes.